Damn it, not again! I muttered under my breath, staring at the same page for the 10th time. I had just studied this concept last night, literally spent hours on it, but today my mind was as blank as a freshly formatted hard drive. This wasn't new. It happened every time. I'd read a chapter, understand it, feel confident, and then, poof, it would disappear like it was never there. It made me question my intelligence. Was I just dumb? Or was my brain secretly working against me? Throughout school and college, I noticed this frustrating pattern. I could spend an entire night cramming for an exam, and the next morning, it felt like I had retained just the title of the chapter. The worst part? I wasn't lazy. I was genuinely trying. I started blaming everything. Maybe I have a bad memory. Maybe I'm not meant for this field. Maybe I should quit and become a monk. But deep down, I knew there had to be a way to fix this. So I went on a mission to figure out why I forget what I study and how to remember it better. Turns out, it wasn't just me. Forgetting is normal. In fact, a guy named Hermann Ebbinghaus, a 19th century psychologist, came up with the forgetting curve, which basically says, we forget 50% of what we learn within a day if we don't revise it. Within a week, we lose almost 90% of that information. Our brain is designed to discard unused information. If you don't reinforce what you learn, it gets dumped. So, the real problem wasn't my brain. It was my study method. I experimented with different techniques and finally cracked the code. Here's what worked for me. Before, I used to read and reread notes, hoping they'd stick. Big mistake. Now, I quiz myself instead. After studying a topic, I close the book and try to recall everything in my own words. If I forget something, I check my notes and try again. I do this repeatedly until I can explain it without looking. It forces my brain to actively retrieve information, making it stick. Earlier, I would cram the night before the exam. Now, I follow this schedule. Day 1, study the topic. Day 2, revise it for 10 minutes. Day 5, quick revision. Day 10, final review. Each time I review, my brain strengthens the memory, and I forget less. Explaining things to others forces you to simplify complex concepts. Since I had no one to teach, I started talking to my mirror or an imaginary student in my head. Sounds weird, but it worked like magic. Before, I used to copy-paste everything from the textbook into my notebook. Now, I use the Feynman Technique. I write in my own words, like I'm explaining to a 10-year-old. Instead of memorizing plain facts, I now turn them into fun mnemonics, acronyms, or drawings. Example, to remember the planets, I used my very educated mother just served us nachos. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, etc. I used to sacrifice sleep for study marathons. Turns out, lack of sleep ruins memory. Now, I sleep at least 7 hours, and my recall has improved. If you're struggling to remember what you study, trust me, you're not alone. I was in the same boat, but once I changed my study habits, everything clicked. So if you feel like you forget everything, don't lose hope. Your brain isn't broken. It just needs the right techniques. Try these, and I promise, you'll remember more than ever before.